As we all know, the Maul show is coming out very, very soon. And the past couple of weeks, I've spent tens of hours learning about this tragic yet influencing character who's known nothing but pain and suffering his entire life. Across 3 decades of storytelling through movies, animation, and comics, Maul's life has become one of the most complex tragedies in canon. He is a man who was stolen, broken, discarded, and reborn because of revenge, the only thing he's ever known. He was literally trying to platinum run every single negative emotion like it was a PlayStation trophy, and he pretty much got there. Today, I'm going to be telling you the entire life story of Maul, and after watching this, you'll go into the show feeling like you know more than anyone else watching. Because you will. Anyways, remember to like and subscribe, grab your blue milk, and let's get started. Maul was born on Dathomir, a planet steeped in the dark side, but not quite in the way that the Sith understand it. On Dathomir, the Force is called magic, with a K. It's green, physical, and more of an ancestral entity. Maul was a Dathomirian Zabrak, a species where the males and females look more different than my skills talking to women on the phone and my skills talking to women in person. They look very, very different. The females, the Night Sisters, are pale, powerful witches who rule the planet. The males, the Night Brothers, are the lesser caste. They're warriors, breeders, and act as servants. On Dathomir, basically, the females are like up here on the power list, and the males are like down here. Born to Mother Talzin, the High Priestess of the Night Sisters, Maul had 2 brothers, Farrell and Savage Press. From the moment he could walk, Maul was trained in the Night Brother trials. This wasn't just your basic happy elementary school, this was a meat grinder. We see in later lore that these boys are tattooed from head to toe and are forced to spend all their time training in gladiatorial combat. Maul was the prize of his litter, a boy whose connection to the Force was so strong it drew the attention of the most dangerous man in the galaxy. And I wonder who that's gonna be. Should his name start with an S? Around 40 BBY, Darth Sidious traveled to Dathomir. Keep in mind that at this time, Sidious was still the apprentice of Plagueis. Sidious didn't come for an alliance, he came for an asset. Sensing the raw power in young Maul, Sidious kicked Mother Talzin out the way and took Maul for himself. This is the foundational trauma of Maul's life, the basis, if you will. He was stripped of his culture, his mother, and his name. Sidious didn't raise him as a son, he raised him as a Sith infiltrator. While the Rule of 2 technically forbade a 3rd Sith, Sidious basically just lied to Plagueis. He told Plagueis that Maul was merely an assassin, an expendable tool. During Maul's early training, Darth Sidious took his apprentice to the ancient Sith burial world of Moraband, or as you probably know it, Korriban. In a calculated move to break Maul's remaining sense of self, Sidious led him into the heart of the Sith tombs. There, amidst the darkness and the spirits of the dead, Sidious forced Maul to inhale the literal ashes of the fallen Sith Lords. He literally handed Maul the ashes of the fallen Sith like it was booger sugar and was like, yeah, just take it. Do it. The charred remains of the ancient Sith Lords entered his lungs. Maul was flooded with their collective memories of agony, betrayal, and absolute hatred. The experience was designed to act as a spiritual branding, ensuring that the history of the Sith was etched into Maul's very DNA, and to make him feel the same hate for the Jedi that the Sith felt all those years ago. Maul's childhood was basically just a cycle of torture. Sidious would often beat him during training, not out of anger, but to induce a state of constant physical pain. Why, you might ask? Because pain is the fuel of the dark side, like electricity is to a Tesla. By the time Maul was a teenager, he didn't just feel the dark side, he lived inside it. He was a silent, coiled spring of resentment, waiting for Sidious to permit him to slaughter Jedi. Maul spent much of his youth in a place called The Works, a dirt-poor industrial district on Coruscant. From his window, he could see the Jedi Temple, glowing in the upper atmosphere. Placing Maul here was a deliberate psychological tactic by Sidious. He wanted to show the boy what has quote-unquote been stolen from him. During this era, Maul became a master of technology and stealth. He piloted the Scimitar, a ship equipped with a prototype cloaking device. A ship that was literally able to turn invisible while it was flying. Not only that, but he utilized DRK-1 Dark Eye probe droids to map out his targets. But in reality, his greatest achievement was his lightsaber. Maul's lightsaber was a gold paw of Sith engineering, based on ancient designs from the Exar Kun era, which if you remember from the last Ancient Timeline video I made, that name sounds familiar. His lightsaber was actually 2 separate lightsabers joined at the hilt. This allowed him to adapt his combat style mid-fight, a trick he would eventually use to great effect against the Jedi. Shortly before the events of the Phantom Menace, Maul grew restless. He was tired of hunting criminals and politicians for Sidious. He wanted to kill a Jedi. In a secret mission, without Sidious knowing, he tracked down a captured Jedi Padawan named Eldra Caiatus. Maul didn't just kill Eldra, he tested himself against her and tested the skills he's learned from Sidious. This was his graduation. Like when you graduate from elementary school and you're like, oh my gosh, junior high is gonna be so fun. And then junior high becomes like the worst 2 years of your life ever. That was basically what Maul was graduating from, except without the 2 worst years of his life. I mean, technically all the years of his life are the worst years of his life, but it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. In the final moments of their duel, Maul felt the exhilaration of extinguishing a Jedi life. But when he returned to Sidious expecting praise, he was met with cold spankings with the metal spoon. Not actually, that was just a metaphor to represent how angry Sidious was at Maul. This is the core of their relationship. Maul sought a father's approval, but Sidious only saw a blade that needed sharpening. As we approach the Phantom Menace, the pieces are on the board. The Trade Federation was ready to move, and the Sith were ready to reveal themselves. Maul was finally ready to become the nightmare of the Republic, or so he thought. In the Phantom Menace, Maul serves as the terrifying presence of a threat the Jedi believed were extinct. Operating as Darth Sidious's handyman, believe it or not, Maul was actually very important in the Chancellor's grand plan. Sidious sent him to track down Queen Amidala and eliminate the Jedi Protectors trying to break the Trade Federation's blockade. Unlike the more talkative villains of the saga, Maul's role in the Phantom Menace is literally aura farming and overwhelmingly aggressive combat. He is literally a living weapon designed to shatter the Jedi's complacency. Although I do find it funny how in the Phantom Menace, Maul just barely speaks. He says 2 sentences, but then in the shows later, like Clone Wars and Rebels, he just will not stop talking. His arrival on Tatooine and the amazing Duel of the Fates fight on Naboo actually shift the galaxy's trajectory as a whole. By slaying Qui-Gon Jinn, Maul doesn't just win a fight, he removes the one mentor who might have guided Anakin Skywalker through his inner darkness. But as we all know, at the very end of the movie, Obi-Wan strikes Maul and cuts him in half. And that's the end of him, right? Or is it? Dun, dun, dun. But in the Star Wars universe, hate is a powerful preservative. For 12 years, the galaxy believed the Sith apprentice was a ghost. He was gone. But in reality, he was a half-conscious creature rotting in the bowels of Lotho Minor. Maul's survival is one of the most extreme displays of the dark side in canon. He didn't have a plan. All he had was a grudge. His lower half was completely gone, but his connection to the Force allowed him to mentally weld scrap metal to his waist. He became crazy, like a crackhead you see downtown, speaking in riddles about the half and the Jedi. He was a creature who had forgotten his own name, but remembered the face of one man, and that was Obi-Wan Kenobi. On Dathomir in 20 BBY, Mother Talzin sensed that her son was alive. She sent Savage Opress, Maul's biological brother, to retrieve him. This reunion is tragic. Savage finds a whimpering creature in a cave, talking to himself like a crazy person, and it turns out that that's actually his brother, Maul. When they return to Dathomir, Talzin performs a ritual of Night Sister magic, with a K. She stops his madness and replaces the scrap metal spider legs with a sleek humanoid cybernetic. He basically became Johnny Silverlegs. If you get that reference, I love you. Maul wakes up no longer an apprentice, but as a contender. He realizes the rule of 2 has moved on without him, and Count Dooku is Sidious's new apprentice. So Maul says, hey, I'm gonna start my own empire. And he does this by murdering hundreds of innocent people to try and lure out Kenobi. And this all happens in a kid's show, by the way. Maul was a student of Sidious. He knew that wars weren't just won with lightsabers, but with resources. He and Savage began a campaign of terror to unite the galaxy's most feared criminal syndicates under one banner, the Shadow Collective. Think of it like Maul's prototype of Crimson Dawn, which we'll see later in the timeline. The first faction he targeted was the Black Sun. Maul walked into their fortress on Mustafar and demanded their help. When they refused, he decapitated their entire leadership in seconds. The classic anger management skills of a Sith. Next was the Pikes. Seeing the strength of the Sith, the Pike Syndicate joined willingly, offering Maul control over the galaxy's spice trade, which is actually a huge deal because spice is huge in the criminal industry in Star Wars, and having control over the entire spice trade basically just gives you access to everything. Last but definitely not least was the Hutts. After a brutal assault on Jabba's palace, even the Hutts were forced into a temporary alliance with the Shadow Collective. By the middle of the Clone Wars, Maul had created a third faction. He wasn't a separatist, and he wasn't a citizen of the Republic. He was the Shadow King of the Outer Rim. Maul's ultimate plan was to divide Mandalore and take the throne. He partnered with Pre Vizsla, the leader of the terrorist group Death Watch, and together they staged a fake invasion. This allowed Death Watch to look like heroes who saved the planet from the Shadow Collective. It's also revealed later that Maul and Mother Talzin deliberately set this up to lure out Sidious and get revenge on Sidious to kill Sidious, but as you'll find out later that didn't go well. Once Pre Vizsla took power, he betrayed Maul, but he underestimated the Sith's knowledge on Mandalorian tradition. Maul challenged Vizsla to a duel to the death. No force powers, just blades.
I challenge you, one warrior to another, and only the strongest shall rule Mandalore.
So be it. Give him his weapon.
Maul decapitated Vizsla and claimed the Darksaber, becoming the rightful ruler of Mandalore. I have respect for Pre Vizsla because not only did he stick to Mandalorian tradition and accept Maul's challenge when he asked, but he died with honor and admitted his defeat when he died. That's a real Mandalorian right there, baby. This led to one of the darkest moments of Maul's entire era. Maul captured Duchess Satine, the one person Obi-Wan Kenobi ever loved. As Obi-Wan watched in chains, Maul ignited the Darksaber. He didn't kill Kenobi, instead he murdered Satine. He forced Obi-Wan to endure the same soul-crushing grief that had defined Maul's own existence for a decade. However, Maul's success was also his undoing. Darth Sidious, sensing a true rival in the Force, traveled to Mandalore personally. For the first time since Naboo, Maul faced his old master. Sidious didn't just fight Maul and Savage, he toyed with him. He moved with the speed that made the two brothers look like blind vegetables that were also deaf. Sidious murdered Savage Opress right in front of Maul, then pinned Maul to the ground with Force Lightning. Maul begged for mercy, but Sidious was like, "Nuh-uh." This is what he says.
Do not worry. I'm not going to kill you. I have other uses for you.
Maul had reached the heights of a king, only to be reminded that in the shadow of the true Sith Lord, he was still just a child in a cage, a blind vegetable that was also deaf. Part 2 ended with Maul at his lowest of low after being imprisoned by Darth Sidious. But as past examples indicate, Maul is a survivor. In the canon comic Son of Dathomir, Maul is broken out of prison by his loyal Mandalorian commandos. What follows is an all-out war between the Shadow Collective and the Separatist droid army. This conflict leads back to Dathomir, where Mother Talzin sacrifices her physical form to save Maul from a combined assault by Sidious, Dooku, and Grievous. Which is literally, may I point out, completely unfair. You get Sidious, Dooku, and Grievous against Mother Talzin, who just got reincarnated back into her physical form. How is that fair? Come on. Maul escapes, but he is now truly alone. No family, no master, only a planet to rule. He returns to Mandalore, sensing that the final phase of the Sith's plan is approaching. In 19 BBY, the Republic invades Mandalore. Maul faces Ahsoka Tano in one of my favorite duels in the entire saga. The funny thing is that he actually tries to warn her. He knows about Skywalker and the coming Order 66. He offers her a hand in alliance to stop Sidious, but Ahsoka, blinded by her loyalty to the Jedi, refuses. After their duel across the rafters of Sundari, Maul is captured, only for the galaxy to burn around them as the Empire is born. The dark times have now begun, and while the Jedi were being hunted to extinction, Maul returned to what he knew best, the shadows. During the early years of the Empire, he became the secret creator of Crimson Dawn, a criminal syndicate that operated with cold, corporate-level efficiency. Since Maul worked under Sidious for a while, he knew all the tricks of manipulating the public with efficiency. Operating through puppets like Dryden Voss and Kira, Maul made a fortune. But he wasn't looking for money, he was looking for weapons. He was terrified. He knew that Vader was searching for him. This makes me hope that we see a Maul versus Vader fight in the Maul Shadow Lord show. I made a short talking about what I wanted to see in the Maul Shadow Lord show, so I hope that was one of the things, is I hope Vader fights Maul. This entire era shows a more cautious, paranoid Maul, a man who had tasted the power of a king and now lived as a scavenger of the underworld. Ultimately, his greed for an ancient Sith superweapon led him to the world of Malachor. His ship crashed on the planet, and he was stuck. Before he knew it, the king of crime was once again reduced to a hermit in the dirt. Years later, a group of rebels arrived on Malachor. Actually, a fun fact is that my real name is Kanan, and one of the Jedis in this group of rebels that arrived on Malachor is also named Kanan. So he's like one of my favorite Jedi, because who else do you know that's named Kanan? It's so weird seeing my name said in the third person. It's like, also he's just a very cool Jedi overall. Together, the rebels find an old master, a hunched, seemingly frail Zabrak who claims to have no name. This is Maul using Palpatine's manipulation skills. He sees in the young Jedi Ezra Bridger a new Savage Press, a pupil he can mold into a weapon against the Sith, but also a brother, a friend, and someone to share his success and struggles with. Maul helps the rebels fight off the Imperial Inquisitors, but his true nature eventually comes out. He blinds Kanan Jarrus in a sudden betrayal, claiming Malachor as his own, but he fails to claim the temple. Once again, Maul is forced to flee, his dreams of a new Sith Order crumbling with him. However, he does leave with a piece of the puzzle, a Sith holocron. Maul's obsession with the holocron leads him to one final truth. Obi-Wan Kenobi is alive. He wanders the sands of Tatooine driven by a ghost that has haunted him for nearly 40 years. The duel on Tatooine is not an epic battle of acrobats. It's a moment of clarity. Maul ignites his double blade, ready to use the hilt bash that killed Qui-Gon Jinn. Obi-Wan simply watches. He shifts his stance from his own Form 3 to Qui-Gon's Form 4. It's a bait, and Maul takes it. In 3 strokes, it's over. Kenobi cleaves through Maul's blade and his chest. As Maul collapses, he realizes Obi-Wan is guarding someone. Maul's final words are, "He will avenge us." And in that moment, the hate is gone. Maul recognizes that he and the Jedi were both victims of the same man, Palpatine. He dies in the arms of his greatest enemy, finally finding the peace that the dark side could never provide. Darth Maul was a character who should have died a long time ago on Naboo. Instead, he became the soul of the Star Wars underworld. He was a mirror to the Jedi, showing what happens when a person is defined entirely by what they've lost. He was a night brother, an apprentice, a king, a criminal, and a hermit, and also a blind vegetable that was also deaf. But ultimately, he was a survivor. He truly is one of the best Star Wars characters ever written, and his story is so complex, yet so simple at the same time. Anyways, that's going to be it for this week's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like and subscribe, and comment down below what you're excited most for the Maul Shadow Lord show. I'm like waiting for the day it comes out, just day by day, just checking it off the calendar, because I'm actually so excited. And I also will post a review on what I think of the first 2 episodes. Remember to join my Discord if you love talking about anything Star Wars or Lego. In my Discord, you can meet other Star Wars nerds, and nobody's ashamed, except if you don't like Ben Quaderneros, then we're kicking you out. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.